When you hear people say that it was foul play in the death of Michael Jackson and Prince, do you believe it?
Same thing with Elvis Presley, drug overdose. Same thing with Janis Joplin, drug overdose. Same thing with a lot of the singers. Marvin Gaye, drug problem. Um, a lot of the people that are looked up to as icons in the entertainment industry are not very happy people. They are alone. They're surrounded by a lot of people, but they are alone. They don't know how to really deal with other people the way they should. And their relationships are shallow and they feel depressed. And this happens. Michael Jackson was a chocolate brown young black kid, and he wound up being Snow White. And South Park, the adult cartoon, got on him several times about converting to being white. And he had a whole bunch of cosmetic operations. The word in Hollywood was that he had, for example, had hair replacements. So what that was about was you have to have your scalp peeled off from the back and you insert hair, in this case, allegedly Polynesian hair, which is knotted on the inside of the scalp sewed back. You take bone from cadavers and you add cheeks, a chin with a cleft in it, and you keep having those operations. And from somebody that was a security person who used to work for me and decided that they were going to work out there at Neverland in Santa Barbara County, Ventura County, one or the other in California, went to work out there and said he used to wear a veil. Why? Because he had no nose. His nose had been amputated and he looked like a dead zombie. And if you look closely at some of the last video, when they do a close up, as he's sweating, you can see the line of the prosthetic nose and where it's been attached by little pieces of tape that you can clearly see holding the nose on. So he was supposed to have been sleeping in an oxygen tent to save the nose, which was going necrotic, but they weren't able to do it. And supposedly, due to the pain from all of these operations where he had his face carved on, I guess he wound up looking like a Pokemon character, one of the cartoons. Japanese anime characters, not Pokemon. So he probably was in pain. Pain could be interesting, and people do all kinds of things to accommodate it. Somebody I know was in Prince's band, and they told me he used to have problems with pain himself. You know, they work hard at what they do, the physical routines. And that was the pain medication. And we know that opiates and other kind of things can be very addictive and they can be very dangerous. People get too deep into them and they die. So I don't think either one of them got murdered. I think it was more the unfortunate circumstances of being able to afford getting anything that they wanted. Now, one of my tenants who was renting a property from me in California, let's just say I got to read some of the transcripts. And I think they made a pretty good case out for his use of drugs. And this was before he died. So it's tragic, but it is what it is. People do have these problems. And you have to understand that both of them were serving a function. What is the big thing right now on the rainbow cult side? Transsexualism. Transsexualism. Okay, what was Michael Jackson known as? Androgynous. In other words, no sex at all, neutral. Prince crossed the lines. Okay, what about Tyler Perry in Medea? You see, Hollywood anticipates things and they set stuff up so things happen when they want them to happen. they had Morgan Freeman in a series of movies playing a U.S. president. And I remember that, and I said, Hollywood will sometimes forecast what's going on by what they put in as drama. And that's what you got with Michael Jackson. You got that to an extent with Prince. You got it to a whole great extent with Tyler Perry, where they were setting the stage to get the public used to this whole thing about the transvestite thing. And then you have that LGBTQIA plus, and that T part isn't necessarily compatible with the lesbian, bisexual, and gay component because, like one friend of mine who happens to be a lesbian told me, she likes pretty young girls and she doesn't exactly enjoy trying to meet up with one and then find out it's not a girl. She said if she wants to swing that way, she wants the real deal. So there is hostility even within the LGBTQIA plus community about this getting together for political strength in numbers, a coalition between elements that aren't necessarily compatible in the association of the LGBTQIA plus with this pedophilic thing. A lot of folk in that have very bad memories of getting turned out by a pedophile. Now, we get over to the thing you were just asking about. Well, what do you want to know?
The way that Marvin Gaye passed away. You got any insight?
Yes, I do. Somebody that was a very close friend of mine, now deceased, used to be somebody who promoted concerts, and Marvin Gaye was sprung. I wound up, after he died, not long after he died, I bought an album, the CD of his last concert tour. And he was, I forgot the words, help me now, what comes next? And he was stumbling and he was going, you don't have to hold me up, I'm all right. And it was pretty obvious that he was just stoned out of his mind high, all right? And what seems to have happened is he got around his father and pushed him too far and was going to brutalize him. And his dad just said, I don't play that. I brought you here. I can take you out. And he killed him. And under the circumstances, it was held to be a justifiable homicide. But he got tragically sprung, badly sprung. And I remember saying, okay, well, I enjoyed his music. Let me get this last album he came up with. And I'm just saying, what is this? I mean, every song in here, he's telling the audience, I forgot the words. Help me out. You know the words. And he sounds like he's stoned or high. So I can see there being a legitimate basis for that.